everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A. I'm just going to do an updated container tour of all my container garden. The sun's kind of at a weird angle, so it's evening, so I'm not starting on the driveway at the moment. But either way, we'll get a look at everything. So things under the windows are coming along. I think the color scheme works out. I did a lot of lantana, salvia, and then some trailers. I have a couple canna in there, so I was trying to repeat like a color theme. It was all kind of red, orange, yellow, pink. And I'm really liking how it turned out. I like all the colors mixed together. As usual, some things are getting really full and some things aren't panning out quite as much. I do think I need to move a few things out of here because it's hard to get the lawnmower through. Like that pot of geraniums, I think I'm going to move out to the landscape now that's being overtaken by the sweet potato vine. Excuse me. But the path is real narrow, so I don't want to move things out further because it's hard to get the lawnmower through here already, so without squishing things and breaking stuff. Oh, and my neighbor just started mowing, but I think the noise cancellation on my microphone is pretty good, so hopefully that's not too irritating. This container I really like. I did sort of a version of this on a smaller scale last summer. This is the Bandolista Mango Salsa Lantana. I have a Waikiki Sunset Lismachia in there. That's the trailer. Hopefully that gets trailing down a little bit further. And then a Cerveza and Lime Plectranthus mixed in. Those I always overwinter. Those are really easy to overwinter even if you don't have grow lights. They did even better for me this year with grow lights, but for several years I've done them just in a window. And they do great. Just make sure you can give things enough water. I have not successfully overwintered lantana. I have heard you can put it in dormancy. It is hardy in zone maybe 8 and up. And if you put it in, almost lantana, in dormancy, you can overwinter the roots and then bring it back up. I don't know about that. But the Bandolista line is more of it mounds and then it kind of drapes a little bit. This is another Bandolista. This is the red chili or something like that. Over here with more of the red, orange, and yellow blooms. I have that with a Goldilocks Rocks Bidens, a Mezu, and, oh, there's a weed in there too. And then a magenta, Nesia magenta nemesia plant. Kind of flanking. You can see how I keep my hose. I love this hose. I got at Ace Hardware. It's really good quality. I'll get ones from there in the future. But I like the coil hoses because they're easy to store. They stretch out pretty far. You do have to be careful. You kind of have to learn how they move because they're really easy to get twisted and tangled, and then it's a pain to get them untangled. But as long as you kind of learn the feel of them, which I have over the years, and don't spin around with them too many times, I guess, as you're watering, they stay pretty straight. And they're easy to put away, which is critical for me. This is a new Kufia that I was trying, and it has tipped over, but it is kind of sprouting up, so I'm just letting it do its thing here. And I'm sure this verbena, it's now getting kind of shaded out by the canna lily. You can see the purple blooms back here. This is a Danziger variety verbena, but that will likely fill in a bit. And then I have the watermelon punch super bells trailing over. That is getting covered a little bit by this draping, but I might just clip those side branches anyway and let it flush out a little bit. This container, this is a black cherry vinca. And then it kind of was a bare spot. This Lismachia isn't filling in as fast as I want it to, so I got this wire vine on clearance. I just planted that the other day, so hopefully that fills in. And the toucan orange canna here. And this container is getting really full, or it has gotten very full. This is a Bandolero cherry sunrise lantana. Normally these get very big and huge. Like this would normally fill this container, but because I have these tall salvia here, it blocks the afternoon sunlight from getting at it. So lesson learned, sometimes you just don't know how things are going to work out. But the salvia is doing fabulous. This is like maybe lighthouse red. It's just a tall red salvia, like a 4-pack. I have 3 of them in here. Another Necia, magenta nemesia. This one's kind of fading its flowers because, again, it has its light blocked out a little bit by the salvia and these sunflowers. This is a Medusa sweet potato vine from Proven Winners. And then here we've got, this one's in more shade. This is a shade container. Well, it's either shade or sun, I guess. The Meizu in the front gets more full sun because of the angle of the sun, and it's pulled out a little bit. And then this is a mini-me watermelon coleus, where it gets more shade back towards the wall. So it looks a little bit darker toned with more shade. I did have a geranium down there, but it was doing nothing because it was too shaded. So I got a clearance begonia that I popped in. These sunflowers, I just let them seed, or I let 2 of the seeds grow from the bird feeder there. So this is a big, huge one. I have cut some of these leaves so it doesn't shade out my container. And then I have another like multi-branching one. So I'll let the seeds ripen on these a little bit. They're also kind of shading the soil so I don't get too many. Oh, there's a bee on this one. Honeybee right now. And this flower, look how pretty. And I planted a bunch of my evergreens. Finally, this one, pretty sure I have a plan for it, but I just keep watering it every day. This is the, it's an Arborvitae, Mr. Bowling Ball is the variety name. So for now, it just sits here where it's easy to water, because it's like a huge plant. These were such nice plants for the size in only a 5-gallon container. The baby wings begonia is just like chock full of blooms. This one is really cool. Found that at Menards for $10, that whole thing. Baby wings is a newer, I think, variety. And then we've got my red container here. This is superbina red from Proven Winners. Really big sized blooms on these. Superbina red and superbina whiteout are 2, probably some of the biggest verbena blooms I've ever seen. And then superbina sparkling amethyst is like the most productive one. We'll see that later. That one is one of those plants. It's like so covered in flowers you can barely even see the leaves half the time. So 3 recommendations from me. There are other great superbina too, but I've grown those 3 on several occasions, and they do well. I bought a sale geranium there, calliope something. It's white and pink. Not blooming yet, but I see buds, so I potted that up. I might throw this one. That was a seed-grown one that was kind of struggling. Why it's super small, the Maverick Red Scarlet Picotee. So I might pop that out in the landscape along with the seeded thing. What is that? Purslane. I have them over here too. My table, I've been hitting up the sale, planting stuff. I have a few more things to go here. Love this container with the Spanish lavender. Super fragrant, really decorative blooms. I've got another purslane, or 2 of them, and then Twinny Peach Snapdragon in there. We'll walk around in this planter. I kind of skipped over stuff. I also have the begonia. Why am I blanking on the name? It's a Proven Winners begonia. That one is cherry cordial. And the new double redstone super bells. These are doing really well. Super bells tend to do well in this container. I always plant some here, I think just because it dries out easily between waterings, which they like, and it's in full sun all day. A lot of times double Calibracoa, they tend to revert to singles for me, and I don't know why. Not just Proven Winners and other brands. It's really strange. And I have another Meizu. Then there's a vinca in here that's popping up, but it's not vining as quickly as I would like it to. And it's kind of weird. The foliage keeps browning out, so I don't know what's going on with that. I had overwintered that. I bought it on clearance last year. We can pop over here. I've got a couple geraniums and some, this is the Kent Beauty Ornamental Oregano. I said before I've grown both Kent Beauty and Kirigimi. Kent Beauty tends to stay colorful longer. Kirigimi browns out earlier. We've got, I need to move these containers around a little bit, give them more space. This is the Canna Pretoria, these huge decorative striped leaves. This one blooms orange blooms, but very like late summer. It won't start blooming till August. It's grown mostly for the decorative leaves. And then I have some beacon coral impatiens down there. I also have a fuchsia that the kittens, like the feral kittens, love getting up in this bird feeder or bird bath to drink. So I have that basket there to keep them from crushing all my plants, which they were doing. Over here we've got, this is sort of coral and a little pink mixed in. Another Goldilocks Rocks Bidens. Lanai Peach Superbina, kind of lulling right now, but I see a ton of buds on it. And then the El Brighto Coleus, love that one. I have another seed-started geranium. We've got the Toucan Coral Canna, love those coral blooms, very tropical looking color. But then this one I especially like the leaves because they're kind of bluish toned. Like they're a little bit cool tone green, which is really different. I also have, I forgot I had popped at least one caladium in there, so that's fun. And some impatiens, another El Brighto, another Lanai Peach. And then I have a bunch of elephant ears over here. I think I have planted 2 tubers. All my canna and my elephant ears, I save the tubers. They're very easy to overwinter, to dig up in the fall and overwinter and then just plant out in the spring. I have some caladium. This container actually was kind of a hodgepodge, but I really like how it turned out. So I have this variegated vinca vine. I have some beacon coral impatiens. I have these white caladium, white and green, and then this beautiful begonia. There we go, orange and yellow. So I'm pleased with that. This begonia is putting on some blooms. It's yellow. These were supposed to be peach. Still beautiful though, I don't mind, but I kind of suspected maybe one that was like a pack of 2 tubers, and the leaves are very different. Like these are much more green leaves and these are more bronzy, so kind of thought maybe one was mislabeled. And then I have some fantasy caladium in there just starting to spring up. I did just purchase these 2 dragon wing begonias today and planted them with some wire vine. Those were on clearance. This is a begonia from tuber that I've had for years, and it's really slow going this year. So beautiful coral blooms. And then I think the kittens are starting to leave this little fern alone too, so it's starting to grow now. That was their favorite toy for a little while. But I've just got a bunch of beacon coral impatiens, more wire vine. I haven't been a big fan of wire vine, but I thought I'd try it out in a few places, and I think in the right application, I think I like it. So far so good. We've got a bunch more caladium over here. This is a pilea, type of pilea. I got a couple more different varieties to plant in there. Kind of purple. This caladium is like very abundant. This is Florida Beauty. I did plant a lot of corms in that pot, but it's kind of taking over. I have a, well, and this is popping up. This is Euphorbia Diamond Snow from Proven Winners, and then a guacamole plectranthus, which these are, all my plectranthus are a little slow growing this year. That should trail out. Really like this combination. The Hippo Pink Hippo Estes with the variegated licorice vine, and then this one, I think that one's Cranberry Star. No, Spicy Lizard. That is that caladium variety, Spicy Lizard. I grew that last year too. So I just think the tones really go together well in this container. That turned out to be one of my favorites so far. And I do have some more caladium in this container too. These elephant ears are kind of, you can see I have begonias, and I do see caladium coming up in there with the elephant ear. Isn't it cool how the leaves like come up from a stem and then unwrap? I've got, this is the Velveteen Coleus, And then that is a zebra tradescantia. I had this in a container last year, and in the fall I dug it up and potted it and just overwintered it, basically as a house plant, and then trimmed it back hard, and it's doing great. Okay, hopefully this angle of the sun isn't going to blind us over here. But the blue area, there's one feral cat. I've been seeing her come around lately. A smaller calico. And there might have some kitten action. Oh, there's one of the ferals peeking out. Dilute calico there in a tuxedo. Those are the ones that Mama had this year. Mama cat, the mama of our ferals, who are no longer feral. Superbina Stormburst, kind of making a comeback slightly. I overwintered that as an experiment, and it was like, just had one little sprig that survived till spring. So it was slow to get going, but now it's blooming. It does get full sun here, and that is along with the superbina. I have the tags in there, but now they're buried. What is that one? Violet Ice, I think. So big blooms on that one too. It's a nice one. I haven't grown that before. Just not as full of blooms as I would like. You can see the whiteout is over here. Like how massive these blooms are on the whiteout. They're just huge, and that's planted with the Hoopla Vivid Orchid, Petunia. I do need to trim, so when they start getting leggy like that, like how it's draping down towards the ground, that means the middle is going to start going bare. So I need to get some of those long legs and trim them off to keep it full before it gets leggy, and then I have to do an even harder cut back. And I've been deadheading. This was even more full of blooms earlier this week. Like literally you could not even see the leaves, but this is the superbina sparkling amethyst. There are only 2 plants in this container. It is just spectacular. Just not the biggest like blooms, but plenty big, but it is just covered. It's like every stem has multiple blooms on it blooming at once. And then I have a Decandra Silver Falls draping down from there. I got I think this is called Winky or Wink Blue verbena. It didn't have any blooms on it. I got it at Fratelloni's. It was 75% off, but just the foliage, like at this point in the season, plants are stressed. These have been sitting in a greenhouse without direct sun all summer long, or with filtered light, and it was super full and healthy. So I actually got 2 of them. One I planted in the ground, which I could show you the bloom color. It's a blue with a white center. This one I planted in a pot just as an experiment to see how they do. Because they're under $2 at this point on clearance. So I thought, why not test it out? This Calibracoa is still doing well. This is just one plant. Forgot the variety name. Again, I just dropped my mic thing. The tag is in there somewhere. I'm just not going to go digging for it. That is a Danziger variety, I believe. And then I have my trio of Super Tunia Mini Vistas. Violet Star, Indigo, and then Midnight Super Tunia Mini Vistas. The Indigo was really small, so it's getting caught up. That has in previous years been one of my favorites thus far. Behind that we have the Tiara Blue. This one is just so eye-catching. Tiara Blue Superbina or Super Tunia. I have a little Diacia in there, that white bloom poking up. And then this is now just really, it's getting huge and really starting to put on a lot of blooms. This is the Blue Suede Shoes Salvia from Proven Winners. I've grown this many times in the past. That's just one plant. I mean, this is a massive, this and Play in the Blue Salvia are 2 of the biggest salvia I've ever seen. I did pot up some clearance stuff that I got here. Love this Artemisia. I don't know the variety name of that. I got it at Home Depot. This is the African, what's it called? Not African daisy, starflower. Still unimpressed. I mean, it looks healthy. The foliage is green. It's just so few blooms on this thing. So that's why I kind of swapped it. I moved it here and put this container over there just to hide it a little. Not super great. And then we've got elephant ear green and purple in this container back here. Underneath that I have a sweet potato vine Kittens love, oh, there's a kitten asleep in the back of this planter right now, a black one. And another Plectranthus cervacea and lime. I won't get too close so I don't scare it. This is an all clearance planter. I got this Coprosmia. I shared that in my last little tour here. That variegated plant. I've got a Victoria Blue and Victoria White Salvia, and then a blue Bakopa that is recovering. I did hit everything with, there's a tuxedo kitten. Hit everything with fertilizer and chelated iron again today. Look at their eyes. Can you see that? No, she's not going to look. They all have the most like striking eyes, this litter. Our cats have green eyes. That one's the most bold. She's the least scared of me. She even sniffed my finger. We've got the indigo scavola with a Dichondra Silver Falls and Senecio Angel Wings. This is a oxalis, purple oxalis that I bought the corms at the garden center in the spring and started them, so I'll be overwintering that. I did get this area all potted up. I got two of these new, no, I forget the name. They're the hummingbird falls. They're new from Proven Winners for this year, along with a Proven Winners Nemesia. I think this is Aromance Mulberry. I got a hold. They had it on sale at some of the garden tents that are 50% off and have huge Proven Winners varieties. The Mini-Me Chartreuse Coleus. So that's what that one is. That's new this year. I like how the leaves are just slightly variegated too. And then a Mezu. Lemon Ball Sedum. I overwinter that thing every year. I've had it for probably 4 years now. And then I got this beautiful purple blood, I think it's called Blood Leaf. It's one of those cornerstone ones. Rubrum. Pseudoranthemum. So, love the color of that foliage. It does wilt in the sun, but it was just planted recently. And it does say on the tag that this does well as a house plant, so I may try to overwinter it, which is why I put it in its own pot, so it's easy to just pop inside. So we shall see how that does. We've got my other coil hose over here. This is my only water access to the backyard, which is why we have the big gray hose going all the way to the back. This coil hose reaches the whole driveway. This is a mum. I have some hardy mums that overwinter on the porch. This one has kind of died back, so I just plugged it in there. If it dies, it dies. If it survives, super. And as you can see, I do have a bunch of my amaryllis soaking in the sun to recharge the bulbs. I did plant over here. This is two of the Bandolista coconut white lantana. Haven't tried that variety before, so I picked those up on super clearance. This is what's fun about the clearance stuff, is you can try stuff without a whole lot of risk. I need to cut this back as well. Still looking good, but you can see it's starting to form a little bare spot in the top because it's getting too leggy now. This is Super Tunia Latte. Anytime I grow them in pots, that's what they do, no matter what. All Super Tunia, any kind of petunia. We've got these Shiny Shoes Coleus starting to branch out. This variety doesn't get nearly as big as the Color Blaze Coleus from Proven Winners. I was looking for a Newly Noir to put in here, but I couldn't find it. But I love the shiny foliage on Shiny Shoes. Got a bunch of different Dusty Miller. This is a bronze leaf white begonia. And this scavola is fantastic. I think it was just called white, something Victory White, maybe, scavola. Got it at Gertens. It is just looks like this all the time. Scavola is nice because they don't sort of lull, I find, like others do. I think they get leggy if they get too much shade, but I haven't grown them for very long, but so far so good. I planted a few in the ground too. And this is that really cool, I think it was called Mercury Dusty Miller, just a different texture. Another, what are those called again? They're the Sweet Potato Vine, Sweet Caroline. Drawing a blank. And then I have a white Angelonia. We've got Snow Princess Alyssum. And you can see the other Dusty Miller. Those are like from a 6-pack that I purchased. So that's sort of my dark and light container trio there. I guess quad now because I added the white thingy, lantana. So we can walk back. I'll show you the stuff in the backyard too. I do have a Super Bell's grape punch. This is a really one that performs very well. I just frightened a kitten. They're wrestling around. Oh no, they're playing with a dead cabbage leaf. They're so stinking cute. This one really struggled. It was really stressed by the time I got it planted, so it's making a comeback. Very important to give Calabricoa a lot of iron. They really need that chelated iron. And then I have a Mezu, Angel Face Blue Angelonia, and then a Laguna Blue with white, I think it is. Lobelia in there. This is the Snowstorm Bakopa from Proven Winners. Doing okay, still isn't really full of blooms, but Bakopa does that, I find. It'll be really full of blooms, then it'll lull for a really long time. I don't find this is any better than, the Proven Winners one, than other white Bakopa I've grown. It is very vigorous, seems like a good one, but I won't go out of my way to pay extra for the Proven Winners versus other varieties. We've got this cool new verbena, new to me verbena in here. I forget the name of it. Another black cherry vinca. Oh my gosh. Can you see that little guy? Poor girl. Oh, there's Mama. Hey. God, they're so cute. They're so cute. So I'm going to definitely doing a winter shelter this year for whenever cats need it. And we do put out food for them. Wish there was more. But all rescues basically don't have the resources to do like trap, neuter, release. The Humane Society discontinued that program last year. So if we were to do that, we'd pay for it out of pocket, at least several $100s each cat. It's really frustrating. Surefire white begonia, another cervacin lime plectranthus, and then this is getting really crowded out. That's an ornamental cabbage that I grew from seed. And then we have the bean vine, hyacinth bean vine, ruby moon. And I have a licorice plant in the back, a white licorice plant in there. We've got a red salvia. This is the sunny version of the coleus, the mini-me watermelon coleus. Did I say mini-me? The other one is mini-me chartreuse. Is that what I said? Anyway, so I have two of those. Darker in the shade, brighter in the sun. And then this is another really vigorous Danziger Calabricoa. I have a lot of these. I can save the seeds from these guys. These are purslane. I have Nano Pizzazz Pink, Nano Pizzazz Yellow that I keep saving the seeds from. And I got a couple Proven Winners ones this year that I'm hoping to save the seeds if they are viable. So I just kind of pop those in everywhere. But purslane, they only open their flowers in the sun, like middle of the day. Otherwise, they're just lovely foliage. I have a couple Calabricoa in here. These got stressed again. I just pulled this one out because it was getting kind of choked out. And I should check for thrips. I do have an issue with thrips sometimes on the Calabricoa in particular. Beautiful. This is the no, that was the other one. Bandolista Mango Salsa. Very similar though. Basket Tangiglow Lantana. And then a Purple Prince Alternanthera that I grew from seed, and another toucan orange canna lily. And then this is another of those 4-pack Salvia. Another guacamole plectranthus. I grew these two, I think not Maverick. I forget the variety name of geranium, but I love that deep purple foliage with the coral salmon-y flowers. And Salvia, this is a beast. This is a Proven Winners, I think it's called Red Hawk sweet potato vine. I've grown that in the past, and they get so full, but I don't like, because I have such a full space and I like to try different plants and plant a lot of stuff, I don't prefer sweet potato vines that get that huge because then they kind of choke out everything else. Even in this planter, it's getting a little bit choked out, much less what's next to it. And I don't want to have to come in here and do a lot of trimming on stuff. So, I mean, it's a beautiful color, but I prefer the Medusa sweet potato vine because it is much more well behaved and stays more compact without needing to be trimmed. Love this Salvia. I think this is the Mirage Red. I love that variety. They have other colors of that too out there that I need to look for in future years. And this is another lantana, similar to the Bandolista and the Tangiglow, but it was just unlabeled from Proven Winners. And then this guy is the Proven Winners, it's new this year, Unplugged Red Salvia. Very different habit from Unplugged Blue. Unplugged Blue, I've grown it for several years, and as far as I can tell, it's pretty much indistinguishable from Victory Blue. So you might as well just get Victory Blue in a 4-pack because it's so much cheaper. This one is a much more spreading habit, like the leaf structure is different. The blooms you can see are not like chock full of color. They're a little more sparse. They do look okay, like this is a spent bloom here, so they don't look bad or dried or brown or anything before you deadhead. And this one is really sending up a lot of blooms, so we'll see how it does. Also, it seems to get bigger than the Unplugged Blue, so I like the Unplugged Red, and I like that it's kind of a pinky red. It's not like a scarlet or deep red. Like compare it to, this is like a true red versus that guy. More of a coral. So that one is a winner. I'll plant that one again. And then Calibracoa. That's just one plant in there. And let's see, I'm going to show you, I forgot those 2 planters on the driveway. We'll come back to those. We'll just go out here real quick into the yard. Show you just a few things. This is one plant, this petunia. It is the Super Tunia Mini Vista Yellow. It's insane how vigorous this thing is. Holy cow. I should trim it too so it doesn't get too wild. I did trim some away from this Lismachia because this was getting completely engulfed. Another Waikiki Sunset. I love the yellow blooms on these too. That style of Lismachia. But you can't even tell I have this polka dot plant in there. That's a vigorous one too. That's the Hippo White. So, love the blue mohawk grass. I've got my little seed geraniums just hanging on. This thing self-seeded, it almost looks like a coleus, so I'm curious because I did grow Kong red coleus last year, and I wonder if a seed made it in somewhere, some soil or something. It's kind of what it looks like. We've got the pretty violas that self-seed out here, and then this is my hanging basket. So this is the Proven Winners. Totally different. I know they did an improved version of this that they're putting out next year. And to be fair, it was very much shaded out by this. I'm going to cut this back now by this clematis that is now out of bloom. So maybe it will pick up, and it's in the back of the planter. Maybe it'll get a little bit better, but I could see why they wanted to improve it. But I have the Tiara Pink petunia in here. This is the Verbena Sparkling Rose Superbina, which is like the pink version of Sparkling Amethyst. They don't even compare. Sparkling Amethyst is so much more vigorous, and I found that I've grown this several times as well. Still pretty, but just not nearly as vigorous. But you can see this beautiful Tiara Pink petunia just doing awesome. And then I have a Lophos. Here we go. There's Lophos flower in here too. Starting to trail. And then I have my 2 containers just of wax begonias. Mostly pink over here. And then pink and white over on my stump. And let's see, back up without tripping and or crushing anything. And then this little container, another Super Tunia Mini Vista Yellow, Goldilocks Rocks Bidens, and this pink tropical sun patience. Not as vigorous as some sun patience I've grown, still really pretty. I did get, this was some of my clearance haul, The pink lemonade, another really vigorous Super Bells Calibracoa. So I got one of those. And then the new double smitten pink popped in there just for some color. Let's see. Ooh, and then I did, so the 75% off plants at Fratelloni's Ace Hardware. I picked up this, I mostly picked up these for the tubers, that I can save the tubers, but this elephant ear, it's like the upright kind, which I really want to try. And then some clearance. I have a whole bunch of English ivy. I got a couple of these Picasso in purple and Ultrananthera down there. Some vinca. And then this is the Canova peach. The kittens were playing with that, so I can see they have chewed on the leaves. Canova peach bronze canna lily. Really pretty peachy, orangey peach blooms. And I like the dark bronze foliage, and then a variegated vinca vine. So I just put these are like 5-gallon containers or 6-gallon or something from shrubs that I've planted. I figure that way it's easy in the fall. I don't have to worry about storing the pots, getting them dug out. I can just pull them in the house and then dig out the tubers when I need to after we get a frost. So I thought that would be a little bit easier. I'll show you, these are the Wink Blue. This is that other verbena that I'm trying out. That's what the flowers look like on the Wink Blue. I love that white center. So we'll see how those do, if they are comparable. I'll do a garden tour probably next weekend. Maybe this week I'll have time. Just the South Seas Daylily, just in full bloom. So pretty. I just love this color and how tall these blooms are. And these just get like chock full of blooms every day. And I picked off all the dead blooms that I could yesterday, or the spent blooms, and man, these are vigorous. I can see they've they kind of spread, they make new plants. So you can see shorter blooms on some of the new plants that they're like pups of the parent, basically. This beautiful cotton candy. I love this phlox. This is opalescence from Proven Winners. Very tall, just like a little pink clouds on there. All right, but we're not here for the garden. I mean, we are, but that's not the focus of this tour. This container doing okay, getting a little choked out. I have some stakes trying to pull these cosmos back away from it. The lemon lime plectranthus is doing great. This one gets really big. I should deadhead now. These are the can rose snapdragons. So they are starting to branch, but so they get a little more full of blooms. Super Tunia Bermuda Beach. I think it would be doing better if it weren't quite so shaded out by everything around it, because I grew that last year and it did extremely well. Same thing with the cherry ice superbina. Still pretty, just not nearly as vigorous. I think it's just there's just too much competition for sunlight over here. I think I showed these. I just did a vegetable garden tour, but got my little container of marigolds that seeded themselves from last year, including ones in the ground. And I showed these containers in my vegetable garden tour, so I won't take too much time, but we've got the zinnias. The Starlight Rose is not really rosing. It's mostly just starlight. It's just staying white. I mean, pretty, but mostly kind of creamy single blooms and not a whole lot of pink streaks on them. I guess this one has a little bit more of the pink streaks, but I'm really liking this double raspberry ripple. They're both Sahara line zinnias. The earlier ones came out white, but then they started putting on their pink, kind of like candy stripe pink. Big fan of that. I love the Sahara zinnias. They are not at all prone to powdery mildew if you have issues with that. I've read it is because of the leaf shape, the lance shape leaves, but I haven't had any issues with them. I've been growing the different varieties of those for a number of years. So let's see, peek back here real quick. I don't remember what I talked about. Witch's Brew Coleus, doing really well. Definitely going to look for this one again. I think Gertrude's usually carries this one if you're local. Beautiful color, out here in the full sun, doing gorgeous. Still not covered in blooms that you have to constantly deadhead, which I'm a fan of. Not too bad. The Super Tunia Black Cherry, doing okay. And then this is a Super Cal, do not remember the variety. And then my little Victory Blue Salvia. And I did pop some, I got some clearance. These are the Americana dark red geranium. I have 2 hanging baskets of those on the fence. I used to hang those from my balcony in my apartment. These pots are from IKEA, so they were a bargain. And I just drilled holes in the bottom of them. They were awesome because they have a really pretty good soil reservoir. And they can hang out for pretty much anything. I've got my herb planter here with Victory Blue Salvia, some marigolds, some herbs. And then I did start planting annuals in the ground over here on clearance. But we'll show that in a future garden tour along with the rest of the garden. So I'll quick bring you up front. There's not a whole lot of changes up in the front yard, but we'll take a look at those containers up there too. So BRB. Before we go up front, I'll update on these. Super Bells Over Easy, one of my favorites of all time, probably my favorite of all time, favoritist. These Super Bells Tropical Punch. Those always perform well for me. And then this is the Calabricoa called Cappuccino that I've seen from Nicole on North Lawn, no, not North Lawn Flower Farm, Flower Hill Farm, if you follow her. She grows that in her greenhouse, and I finally found it this year. And then we have this container. I have only three Artemisia in here taking over. I have these Purple Prince Alternanthera. Those were a little bit slow to start. They were seed started, and they're finicky to start from seed, so they were a little bit small when I popped them in there. And Artemisia just grows so fast. And then Toucan Coral Canna Lily with its pretty blue-green foliage. I also love the sort of red edge on these. It's probably my favorite canna. And pretty coral blooms. All right, so we'll go up front. All right, just want to show you these because they are looking extra pretty right now. These are just wax begonia, although these are some of the more vigorous ones. I'll be looking for the cocktail series next year. So these are cocktail vodka begonias with a golden globes Lismachia, similar to Waikiki Sunset. That one's just chock full of blooms. Then I also have some white wax begonias mixed in too. Same thing over here. I don't remember. I think this one gets more sun. And the Lismachia is a little bit more stunted over here. Here is sort of a container. Don't mind my hose. Bronze leaf red begonia with Lismachia or creeping jenny planted below. The creeping jenny is hardy here, although I had to replace a bunch of it this year because of our harsh winter. I did plant a bunch of annuals from clearance in the ground, so we have it. We'll see how it does up here. Another of the unplugged red salvia. And I'm planting Calabricoa in the ground as a test. And then that is Super Tunia Mini Vista white or whiteout. So I really filled up this area. These Rudbeckia self-seeded from ones I grew here last year, and they're healthier than the ones I grew. And they're beautiful. And we have a repeat of this planter. Even bigger. I think this one gets more sun. With the Dichondra Silver Falls, the Indigo Scavola, and Senecio Angel Wings. Up here, this one was bigger to begin with, which is why it's also bigger right now. And then I have a bunch of stuff over here. So there's a teaser for our next garden tour. So that's it. All the containers. Again, not going over every single plant, but many of them. I have collected my containers over many years. I've talked about this in years past, but like right now, Gertens is running buy one, get one free. For the first time ever, it's truly buy one, get one free and not just 50% off everything. So every year I pick up a few at that sale. Bachman's always clearances out stuff end of winter. Sometimes in the fall too. Last year they had a big clearance sale, so I picked up a few pots in the fall, usually August, September, when they start picking through their inventory and lines they're not going to carry or stuff that's real piecey and they don't have a lot left. So look at your local garden centers. I don't get a lot from big box stores because they're expensive there too, and they don't really do sales on their pots, I have found. Maybe if you're lucky, if you catch it at the right time, but they don't ever really do discounts. So it's always the local garden centers that I find the best deals. Also Home Goods, TJ Maxx, Marshalls. That's kind of how I started out collecting my pots. I had several hand-me-downs, and I have a lot of them. So especially if you want to go bigger pots, are always better for watering. You can fit more plants in them. I find a lot lower maintenance to do a large pot. However, they are more difficult to store. So anyway, just my tips on where to look for pottery if you want to get into container gardening or you want to expand your containers. So yeah, I did Home Goods and TJ Maxx actually have pretty good selection most of the time, and good prices. So I would start there if that's all you've got. Watch for out of season sales, not mid season, but usually late season, early season sales at local garden centers as well. So sometimes I get little chip and dent deals. You know, they'll have one that has a little crack or chipped finish or something, chipped glaze. So you can get a good deal on it that way. So yeah, just some tips. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you're enjoying the summer in the garden. Today was an absolute perfect July day. You could not ask for a better day. We've had a few of those this week, so I'm very grateful. It's been just wonderful to be out in the garden. I hope you are enjoying your garden as well. And thank you so much for watching.